Fam, lock in with your boy. Got another video. You know what time it is. It's another review, and I'll get into this for a minute, but uh, got some unfortunate business, man. I had a guy doing some work over at the house, and he got me good. Wind up walking out with a big chunk of my cologne collection. You know what I mean? Pretty much cleaned me out. You know what I mean? Got me good. Guy doing some work, doing some maintenance work, and decided to, walk off with my stuff. So, in the meantime, not gonna be able to replace all them bottles, right off the bat. Not, nothing major. It's like maybe 3 or 4 good bottles, but like I'm just not gonna replace all of them at once. Only thing he didn't get was my Sauvage EDP. Love this, really good scent right here. You know, still woody like the original, but it's got some additional sweetness that makes it seem a little more grown up, and a little more versatile. So you can take this out on a date night with ease. I think it's one of the. I feel like it's almost like a Goldilocks scent to me. If you want something that's good all the way around, check out the Sauvage EDP. But you gotta work with what works for you. When it comes to fragrances, you got to try something on. You got to smell it. You got to, it's got to put you in that mode. It kind of identifies with you and how, you want your persona to come across. So for me, I do like the Sauvage scents, pretty much all of them, but the EDP, definitely one of my favorites out of that set. But I got like half a bottle left, so I wanted to get something that could hold me over for a little bit until we start to build up that collection again, little by little. Usually I did that on birthdays, holidays, things like that, get a bottle here and there. So, I'd rather do it over time rather than trying to replace what was stolen right away. So ordered this off of Amazon. I'm over here knocking stuff down. Get you a look at the box. This right here is Lattafa Oud for Glory, which, Lattafa is one of those brands that's known for making clones. And of course, this is a direct clone of Oud for Greatness, which you may not have heard of that before. I know it's a niche fragrance, so bear with me on that. I've never actually smelled Oud for Greatness. So I'm hoping with this, it's just something that kind of hold me over, so I'm not just going through my Sauvage EDP. Something that still have a masculine scent. I don't really go for the super sweet scents, just little sweet for a date night, but something that's more deep and dark. And that's what I'm hoping that we have here with the Oud for Glory. So you got the box and the presentation here. I'll crack this open. It's a 2-part box, so you can see how this opens up. It's pretty nice on how they did this, just especially considering the price, because these you can get, somewhere at 20 to 25 bucks. Not an expensive cologne, but like I said, something to hold me over. So hopefully it works out well. Now, this again is a clone of Oud for Greatness, and on Amazon it has right about 30,000 positive reviews. So it seems like they made a good clone out of this. But I'll do a quick test on this, and I'll let you know what my initial impressions are for Oud for Glory. Don't really smell anything on the bottle, but I'll give it a quick spray, let y'all know what I think. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Definitely that dark, masculine, mysterious scent. Oh, yeah. I could see using this. I can definitely see why it has a lot of positive reviews. Now, of course, the real test will be using it in the office or using it, and all day long, so you know see how it performs in the real world. But just my initial impression of it, definitely one of those mysterious type scents. It's kind of smoky, little bit of sweetness, but definitely one of those dark masculine scents. If you think of what a mafia boss would smell like, that's kind of what this is. I like it. I like it. It's good. Again, something to hold me over and just add in addition to the Sauvage, so you're not wearing the same thing all the time. I think that after a while, that gets kind of stale. So, good to have a couple of bottles that you could flip through. Just smell that again. Guys, definitely, if you're going with the fashion and the style and stuff, you got to have some colognes. Don't go out there without anything. Having the sneakers and the clothes is cool, but you got to have fragrances. You got to smell like somebody. You know what I mean? And one like this, it'll definitely put me, in that type of mood. Definitely could use it in the office. Just smelling that dry down a little bit. But yeah, I like it a lot. Now, on to the sneaker review. So in the last video, I told you it took me a while to get that Jordan 11 Gamma sold. I finally got it sold. In the last video, I mentioned it was going to be hard because the box was damaged. It was either damaged over at the place that I sold it at, or it was damaged in UPS. And if I can remember correctly, I originally sold it at StockX. So I don't know if StockX damaged it or if it was just UPS. Between the two, the box got damaged. It took me a long time to offload that pair with the damaged box, but eventually wind up getting it sold. And of course, what I traded it for, you know what I mean? As you can see, Jordan 11 box. And so you know what's in this box. You got the royal blue, and we'll crack this open. Now, I originally tried to purchase this on the GOAT, wind up having to get it at good old StockX. There's some StockX notes in here. Now, anytime you're buying off of StockX, you want to legit check. So here's the sneaker, right? You got the StockX tag on there. If you're getting it from StockX, you want to make sure that you don't have, a fake pair. One of the dead giveaways with this Jordan 11 Rare Air is, with the fake pairs, you could see through this part right here and see through to the blue. It looked really bad. I've seen a lot of pairs that were like that. It's unfortunate, but there's people out there that are showing those fake pairs off. So if you see that, that's one of the dead giveaways on there. Also, as you look through the bottom of the shoe. But I will tell you the best way, if you're going to legit check the sneaker, you got to have yourself black light. I have a black light flashlight. So I already legit checked these shoes as soon as they came in because I couldn't wait on, cutting the video in order to legit check them. Comes from StockX, you're limited on the time to return it if you think it's fake. So I legit checked it right away. There were none of those dotted lines or markings underneath the black light. So this one is definitely a clean pair. And just give you, a breakdown over on the sneaker, Jordan 11s, of course, you're talking patent leather. That's the reason we get them. This is with the royal blue colorway. You don't see them do this too often. So that's the reason, I wanted this. And of course, you've got the pre-aged outsole. To me, it looks kind of like a gum bottom. You have vintage laces in here. I've looked at a couple lace options, so you could swap them out if you want to. If you have to do something like that, you can definitely swap them out. You got the 23 at the back. It's embossed. You got a black sock liner, so I would do black socks with this. Anytime you have a sock liner, you want to match the sock liner, because if you do white socks on a black sock liner, that right there will start to get little white strings up inside of here. It's going to look dingy. pretty quick. So I usually try to match the sock line, or at least with this, I could do gray, like a dark gray, but I just really wouldn't do white inside of this and let this get dingy. It is a little bit of a silk feel to it, so I don't know. You can try it with a white sock, but be far warned on that. Um, you got the red Jumpman on here. It's a clean pair, clean pair. When you're talking Jordan 11s, that's what you're looking for is the patent leather, something shiny. I will tell you, Jordan 11s is one of really the cleanest that you could put on feet, and really just one of the most comfortable when right out of the box. Jordan 11, you don't have to do anything to them. There's no break in. They're just one of the most comfortable shoes. So just give you a quick breakdown on that. Got some comparison pairs, so I'll bring those out for you real quick, and then we'll wrap things up. So let me go grab those pairs for you real quick. We'll go over those, see how they compare to this one, and then we'll wrap this up. And then I'll give you my final thoughts on the Jordan 11 Rare Air. All right, so I'm back with the comparison pairs, and right off the bat, we'll bring out, close comparison. These were the Gratitudes. Y'all remember the Gratitude 11s. They came out pretty similar to the Concord. You got the black patent leather. I've only worn these like once. So still very clean overall. Now this had the white, and as you can see with the Rare Air, you're dealing with a little pre-aged vintage look. This had a milky outsole, and you'll notice with the Rare Air, at the front, they actually made this a little thicker with the Gratitude. This came directly from Nike, but you could see it was a little bit more transparent because this outsole was more transparent than this one. This has close to a gum bottom. That's what kind of how it looks on feet. But there it is next to the Gratitude. And of course, we had the Cherry 11s. So now, all three of them together, you got blue, black, and red all together. Again, this one also was more translucent on the cherries. The cherries, of course, you also had up at the top, if you're comparing it to the Rare Air, you could see you had the nylon mesh. I actually like the nylon mesh, but I do like leather more, especially the tumble leather that they did on the Rare Air. And then, of course, they did something similar on the Gratitude. So you can see that there. Let's take a look at the bottom. Gratitude is just black and white. Really, really clean pair. You can see that gold 23, the gold Jumpman on that. And then, of course, with the cherries, you got red at the bottom. This, you have red and blue. And then you got the red Jumpman here, 23 at the back. So very clean altogether. I'm glad to have, kind of a complete set. I love having red, blue, and black in any shoe that I really love because, of course, red is my favorite color. Black and white is the most wearable, easy to go with anything. And then, of course, blue is like, especially royal blue. That's like my second favorite color. So, like that a lot. Of course, a nice green would be good too. If they did this in green and white, I would be all over that. But this is a really good pair. And when you really look at it, that seems like they put a little bit more quality into the Rare Airs than they did on these. In terms of weight, if this one looks a little bit smaller, it's because it is a 10.5. I tried that out when I got these, and it does pinch my pinky toe. So with that, stick to a size 11. Well, I'm going to stick to a size 11, but stick to your normal shoe size. Don't size back. When I sized back, this one, the Gratitude pinches my pinky toe. don't have that problem with the size 11 on the Cherry or the size 11 on the Rare Air. At least, I haven't worn this yet, but I don't expect to have that problem. But I do have that problem with these. So, could be a break-in, or it could just pinch my toe forever. It is just one of those things, you try some things out. I was trying 10.5 just to see, if I could keep it from creasing and whatnot. And one of the things, I did spray some sneaker protector on here. I'm gonna have to try to buff that out, once I get off this video, because it's kind of making this look a little dingy. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera, but something else also. So you're dealing with patent leather. You don't want to get the sneaker protector on the patent leather. Just put it on the leather parts. On any Jordan 11, the leather, and on here on, the white parts. You don't want to get it on that red. And I got it on this red also. So, I have to clean that off. But altogether, very happy with the Rare Airs. Very happy with Oud for Glory. I mean, now it's on the dry down mode, and it is a beast. So I do highly recommend that scent. Again, you can get it for 20 to 25 bucks. Amazing scent, and it's going to be something niche. Nobody's going to know, what you have on if you go with that. And I definitely think it'll make you feel like a boss, like a mafia boss. So with that, I am out. I'll see y'all on the next video.